had just seen your date outside. He's with another. I saw you both come in, and clearly you're not meant for him. So please, please hold my hand. Hold my hand, yeah, yeah. Hold my hand, yeah, yeah. Hold my hand, and I'll see you home.
Today we are looking at the source material around the Rutles, specifically the 1978 mockumentary All You Need Is Cash. And the central question, the real puzzle we're trying to solve is how? How did this incredibly sharp parody, one that just skewers the whole Beatles myth, end up being something the Beatles themselves not only put up with, but actually well loved?
That really is the core of it, isn't it? And the sources are pretty clear. The film wasn't just a joke. It was, and this is the word that comes up a lot, a liberation for them.
Liberation.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. By the late 70s, being a Beatle was this incredibly heavy thing. It was mythology, it was history, it was a weight. And this parody, because it was so smart and so affectionate, it let some of the air out. It gave them permission to laugh at themselves.
A release valve. So let's start at the beginning. The creators. We have Eric Idle, of course, from Monty Python.
Right.
And musical genius, Neil Innes. But Innes wasn't just some random musician, was he? He had a history.
Not at all. And this is so important to the story. Innes' band, the Bonzo Dog Duda Band, was actually in Magical Mystery Tour.
Wow. So he was already in the orbit. He'd seen the machine from the inside.
Exactly. He understood the absurdity of it all firsthand. He wasn't an outsider taking pot shots. He was part of the extended family, which gave the whole project a kind of authenticity it wouldn't have had otherwise.
And the idea started small, right? Like really small. A sketch on a BBC show?
Tiny. It was on Idle's show, Rutland Weekend Television, back in '75. Just a one-off gag, really. It could have just ended there.
But it didn't. And the reason it didn't was George Harrison.
George Harrison is the catalyst. This is where the story gets fascinating. He didn't just, give it a thumbs up. He actively pushed them. He saw those sketches and basically said, you have to make this a full movie.
What was his motivation? Why would he want to see his own life story turned into a complete parody?
Well, the sources say he explicitly told them it could help deflate the myths. I think George, more than maybe any of them, really felt the burden of that legend. He saw this as a way to, bring it all back down to earth.
And he even showed up in the movie itself.
He did. That's the ultimate endorsement, isn't it?
It really is.
He plays this reporter right outside the Rutles Corps building, and he's losing his microphone in all the chaos. By being in the joke, he's basically telling the world, it's okay to laugh. We are.
Which is the perfect lead-in to just how detailed this parody was. I mean, this was a masterclass. They didn't just sketch out the characters.
Oh, and they mapped them one-to-one. It was meticulous. You had Dirk McQuickly.
Who is obviously Paul, the cheerful, pretty one.
Of course. Then Ron Nasty.
The sharp, witty John Lennon.
Stig O'Hara, the quiet, spiritual George. And then Barry Wum.
Barry Wum. It's just a perfect name for Ringo. But even that name has a backstory, doesn't it?
It does. And that's the genius. It wasn't just a silly name. The source material points out that he was originally Barry Womble.
Womble, right.
And he shortened it to Wom. It's a direct parody of Richard Starkey changing his name to Ringo Starr.
1, 2, 3, 4. Working up a fever in a one-horse town was a jockey by the name of Joe. He didn't have a lot of what you might call luck, but he had a lot of get up and go. Get up and go, get up and go, get up and go back home. Get up and go, get up and go, get up and go back home. Tall in the saddle in a one-horse town.
It's a joke about the process of creating a stage name. That's a deep cut.
That's incredible. That's fan-level knowledge. And they didn't just parody the people, they parodied the entire career arc.
Every single step, from being discovered in Liverpool to their manager, Brian Thigh.
A great take on Brian Epstein.
A very tragic Rutles twist, though, with him choking on a pie.
And the albums, the titles alone tell the whole story. You start with the pop stuff, but then you get to their psychedelic masterpiece, Sergeant Rudder's Only Darts Club Band.
Sergeant Rudder, it just perfectly captures that feeling of, how do we possibly top Sgt. Pepper? It's got that slight air of disappointment built right into the title.
And it kept going. The animated film wasn't Yellow Submarine.
It was Yellow Submarine Sandwich.
Which just implies it was, a bit more of a commercial cash-in.
Exactly. And the end. The bitter, ugly breakup album couldn't be Let It Be. It had to be. A perfect, cynical endpoint. From rudder to ride. That's the whole journey.
But look, the structure is brilliant, but the music. The music is the real magic here. Neil Innes wrote 20 original songs.
Yes. Not covers, not simple ripoffs. Original compositions that just feel exactly like the Beatles at every stage of their career.
How did he do it? The sources say he relied on, intuitive memory.
That's the term, yeah. He wasn't just copying chord progressions, he was channeling the feel, the production style, the specific harmonies, Ringo's slightly behind the beat drumming. He had internalized the entire Beatles' sonic language.
So take a song like Hold My Hand.
That's their I Want to Hold Your Hand. And it sounds like a dusty 45 from 1964. It gets the lo-fi production, the slightly tinny vocal sound. It's technically perfect pastiche.
Then you jump forward to the psychedelic stuff like Piggy in the Middle.
Which is his I Am the Walrus. And he nails all the late period Lennon tricks. The heavy vocal compression, the weird panning effects, the chaotic orchestration. He didn't just throw in psychedelic sounds. He used the specific palette of sounds George Martin and the band were using in '67 and '68.
Which brings us to what a lot of people consider the best song on the soundtrack, Cheese and Onions.
Cheese and Onions. It's heartbreakingly beautiful. It sounds like a lost demo from the White Album. It has that melancholy, that weariness. You could slide it onto that album and it wouldn't feel out of place.
The soundtrack was so good it even got a Grammy nomination.
For Best Comedy Recording, yes.
Yeah.
It was taken seriously as a work of art in its own right.
And whenever something gets that successful in the Beatles world, something else inevitably follows. A lawsuit.
It's the great irony.
So ATV Music, who owned the publishing rights at the time, sued in, even though these were all original songs.
It's the classic case of the business machine taking over, right? The actual Beatles loved it, but the corporation that owned the copyrights just saw similarity. And similarity meant a threat to their asset.
What happened to Innes?
He ended up settling, and it was a huge price. He had to give up 50% of the royalties on 14 of the songs from that first album.
50% for a parody.
A huge financial hit.
Yeah.
And the deepest irony of all is that John Lennon himself had actually warned him.
Really?
Yeah. Lennon heard the song Get Up and Go and thought it was way too close to Get Back. He told Innes, be careful, ATV will come after you for that one.
So Innes listened.
He did. He left that song off the vinyl album, specifically because of Lennon's warning.
Yeah.
And they still sued him over all the other songs anyway.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you.
The machine is going to do what the machine is going to do.
No matter what the artists think.
So let's talk about what the artists did think. Let's get into their specific reactions. First off, the premiere in the US was a complete disaster, wasn't it?
Oh, a total bomb. Dead last in the ratings for its time slot. But it found its audience pretty quickly after that. When you look at the cast...
It's a who's who of 70s comedy. Belushi, Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Gilda Radner.
Mick Jagger, Paul Simon. That star power gave it a legitimacy that ratings couldn't measure.
Okay, so let's start with the fans. Harrison and Lennon were all in.
Completely. Harrison called it the best, funniest, and most scathing film ever made about them. But he added the most important part, that it was done with the most love.
For him, it really was that liberation we talked about.
Absolutely. And he loved John Belushi's take on Alan Klein, Rhonda Klein. He found that...
A best-selling book, Out of Me Head. Only one media remained unconquered, the cinema. In 1965, a hard day's rut changed all that.
I feel good, I feel bad, I feel happy, I feel sad. Am I in love? I must be in love. I feel rich, I feel poor, I'm in doubt.
Hilarious.
And the story about Lennon is just perfect.
It's the best. They sent him a videotape and the soundtrack for his approval, and he just never sent them back.
You just kept them.
Kept them. And apparently, he couldn't stop singing Cheese and Onions to journalists. I mean, for a man who had been through so much pain with the breakup, to find that much joy in a parody of it all, that's the ultimate compliment.
But not everyone felt that way, at least not at first. Ringo was conflicted.
He was. You have to remember, in 1978, this stuff was not ancient history. The breakup, the lawsuits, that was his life just a few years earlier. So while he got the humor, he said some of those scenes were just too close to the bone. Too real.
A comedy about a recent tragedy in your own life? That's tough.
Very tough. But he came around. He's the one who later joked they should all form a supergroup called the Rutles.
Which is great. And then there's Paul McCartney, the big holdout.
A holdout. For a long time, it was just no comment. Eric Idle said he had a very frosty encounter with him. Paul was trying to build a new career with Wings, and I think he just saw this as dragging him back into the past he was trying to escape.
So what changed his mind?
His wife, Linda. The sources say she watched it and thought it was hysterical, especially the fact that her character was played by Bianca Jagger. And sometimes that's all it takes, right? Someone you love and trust tells you it's okay to laugh, and that permission can finally break down the wall.
So when you pull it all together, the legacy of this thing it's huge. It wasn't just a flash in the pan.
Not at all. It had hit singles in the UK. And they even made a comeback album in 1996 called Archaeology to Parody the Beatles Anthology series.
And culturally, it's so important. You have to point out, this came before This Is Spinal Tap.
It laid the groundwork. The whole format of the rock mockumentary, the serious interviews about ridiculous topics, the grainy archival footage, the over-the-top narrator. The Rutles really pioneered that style for film.
So its genius was that it was both reverent and completely irreverent at the same time.
Exactly. It loved the Beatles enough to get every single detail right. And it was brave enough to use those details to show how absurd the whole myth-making machine around them had become. In the end, it became a genuine part of the Beatles' story itself.
Which I guess leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? How often does something that becomes a massive cultural phenomenon actually need a loving parody to keep it from taking itself too seriously? Maybe every legend needs its Rutles, just to remind us all that underneath the myth, they're just people. Well, thanks for joining us today. Whenever you feel like knowing more about the Beatles, visit us at BeatlesRewind.com. Every day, we do something new there. Song reviews, album reviews, movie reviews, documentaries, trivia, all things Beatles. Every day, 8 days a week. You can find us on the website, BeatlesRewind.com. You can subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Podcasts, practically anywhere on the inner tubes. The Beatles. All day, every day.
Cass, we'll do it again tomorrow.
Absolutely. See you then.
Until next time, when you listen.
Your mind conducts its own symphony.
Or a steady job, feeling like a cowboy and looking like a small man, living in hope, living in hope, living in hope, living in hope. Yes, I'm living in hope, living in hope. I'm living in hope. Nothing in my pocket, nowhere to go. Looking for a handout, but no one wants to know. While I'm living in hope, living in hope, living in hope, living in hope. Yes, I'm living in hope, living in hope, living in hope. I'm living in hope, living in hope, living in hope, living in hope. Yes, I'm living